So welcome back to the channel, guys. Welcome to the start of this video. In this video I'm machining a S14 engine, which is a BMW M3 E30. So yeah, I hope you enjoy the video, and if you could hit the alert bell if you want to see more videos, or give it a thumbs up, that'd be great. And also leave the word BMW in the comments section if you could, that'd be awesome. And then I thought I would give you a bit of a sneak preview of my engine build room, because Sam has nearly finished that. So we've gone with a resin, white floor, white walls, white ceiling. We're just fitting the aircon machine, I think today or tomorrow. The cable down there is for the CCTV, and then he's just started bringing some of the stands over and giving them a wipe off. So most of the engines from now will hopefully be built in here. We're going to fit a plinth down the bottom of my toolbox, some more lighting across the top, and then just finish the edges off, all the little gaps that are here, there and everywhere, a bit of skirting down here, and that is it. This is the sliding door. So Larissa at the moment from L&N Graphics is just doing the graphic for the door, so you'll see that hopefully in a few days. Awesome. So this cylinder head here is one that I haven't filmed actually, but it's a Mazda MX5 cylinder head, which I've put slightly bigger valves in. I fully ported it, put bronze guides in it, 3-angle seats. I'm just giving it a skim now, and then I've got to fit the cams and set the tappets. But I'm going to carry on filming it, but I'm filming the second half of it. So far it's looking really good. I'm really happy with the seats. Combustion chamber looks good. Guides are in there all nice, and the porting looks awesome, even if I do say so myself. So I'll capture the rest of the machining and show the end result of the cylinder head. I've machined this shim down. I'll show you the original setting. So this one here is an original untouched shim, and that's 355 thousandths. The recess on the inside, what sits on the tip of the valve, is 100 thou, and I wanted to get these to roughly 100 thou thickness, so I need this to be around 200 thou. And we're at 199 thou. So that's good enough. I'm going to just quickly dry fit this up into the cylinder head, and I'll show you what I do there to get myself close. I fit one shim and one bucket, and then I've just placed the cam in with no other shims in there, no other caps on it, and then just see roughly what gap I've got. So if I grab some feeler gauges, what I want is just so I've got any kind of gap so I can get myself close, and that's still 0. So basically what I'm going to do is take, I should be able to fit that in there, yeah I can. So what I'm going to do is take another 10 thou off these shims, and I'm going to keep going now in 10 thou stages until I've got a gap. So back to the surface grinder. Right, what I'm doing now is I've switched the machine off. I've taken a fair bit off these shims, but I've got to build up a swath around here, and what I don't want to do is get that caught under the shim and just make it sit up right. So what I'm going to quickly do is just clean the bed of the machine. And then get one of the machines, check my measurement. And then I'm going to just put this into the cylinder head. Yeah, right, so what I've got now is I've got a Tappet clearance on this one cylinder, which tells me, because I know that I've cut all the seats and they're all pretty close, I'm going to get 8 of the shims, and then I'm going to start to record the data. So I'm going to fill in my little chart as I do, write down all the shim sizes, bolt this side of the head up, measure the tappets, and then adjust according to what they need. So I'll do that on time lapse. So the first part of the Mazda MX5 cylinder head tappets is done, and it's a pretty good guess. I want 10 thou on these, and these are the actual tappet clearances. So I've only got a slight little jiggle around to do to get them right. This one's probably the worst one here, 15 thou, so I'm gonna have to go 5 thou bigger than that shim. But luckily I've got some spares, so I can make that work. That's the Mazda MX5 head complete now. This come in as a standard cylinder head, all stripped down. I've ported it, put new valve guides in it, bronze valve guides, set the spring heights, 3-angle seats out to the size of the valve. Give it a reface, only a light reface because it's going turbocharged, and then the customer has supplied some cap cams for it on a solid profile, which we was going to stick it on standard bucket and shims, and then realised that the cam was quite aggressive and it's trying to flick the bucket out. And then after reading the paperwork, it also recommended that you fitted the cap cams bucket and an under shim. So the shims start out 351 thou in size, in length, and now they're down to 100 and can't remember now, 125 thou roughly. In fact, let me have a look. Nah, sorry, 170 thou. They're all within a few thou of 170 thou. I've put the cams roughly where they'll be timed in at. Put some build lube all over it, so it's basically all ready to go. If I take it off the headstand, I'll see if I can show you around it. So I've done a fair bit of porting in on the ports. These are the inlets. Cleaned all the gasket faces up, and then you can see the valves are pretty big compared to a standard valve. And that's the valves. They're Supertech valves, 1mm oversize. You can fit 1mm oversize into the standard seat. It's just a case of boring the seat out bigger. And that's the exhaust port. So I've let my customer know that this is all ready, so I'm just waiting for him to collect this now. I think he's going to come in a couple of days, Sunday I think. It's Thursday today, so yeah, a few days and he'll be in to collect. I'm going to box up the old studs for it, he can fit them. Got him a gasket set for it as well. I had to get the gasket set for the stem seals mainly. But I'm really happy with the outcome of this. I think it looks really good. Hopefully the customer will be pleased. So now what I'm doing is getting on with the 2 E30 M3 blocks. I've bored the first one out to the size of the piston that's been supplied. My customer wants me to bore the second one out to exactly the same size. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to neaten up the tip of my cutter, move the boring bar over, clean the block face up first, move my boring bar over, And then while this one's boring, I'll set up for doing the bore squirters in it. So I'm back on with the BMW blocks today. They've both been bored out to the piston size now. So the next thing I'm going to do is fit the piston squirter or the bore squirter. So first of all, I'm going to clean the mill down, make sure it's all nice and clean, true the bed up to make sure that's perfect. I've then got a little bit of prep work to do on the block to clean the bits of gasket off. We'll get that mounted and then I'll show that next process being done. So the next job on the pair of E30 M3 blocks I've got, one there and one there, is to machine it to take the bore squirters, which are these. So what I'm going to first do is machine the platform just down here for them to sit square on, because it's cast and it's got a radius to it at the moment. So what I've done is the oil gallery bung is out. I've put a bar in here and just let it sit at the bottom of the hole so I can plot where the oil feed is. I've put a long cutter or a long milling end in here so I can machine the platform flat. I've set the block up nice and square. I've marked the starting reference points on the mill, and then the next thing for me to do is just to machine the platforms on it. So I've done the first step on this. I'm just going to switch my torch on to show you, because I've just got to also make sure that it's deep enough. So as you can see, this is the standard casting inside the BMW, and then that's what I've machined onto it to allow the bore squirter to sit on. Well, I've just got to take a few plots from that because I think it needs to be a little bit deeper than that. That's all 4 steps machined now for the bore squirter to sit on. The next thing I've got to do is drill 3 holes in it. One for the oil feed, one for the mounting screw, which is a thread, and then one for like a little pin locator. If I just show you the bottom. So what I've done to make this easier, so I know that each one is going to be the same, is I've made a little bolt-in jig which looks like that. So this jig has got the holes for the right size there, and what I do is I've just made it where it bolts into the main screw housing. So I'll just lock it in with a couple of M10 bolts, and then I know that that's going to be in the right place. Just grab a 17mm and just grab a 17mm spanner and nip it down so I know it can't move, like that. And then go and get the right size drill bits, and then just 3 holes and we're there. So that's the jig fitted into the block, and I've done the first one. Well, all I've got to do actually is just drill down for the dowel hole which locates it. So I'm going to move this over. Well, I'm going to drill that little hole first, move it over, tap in the threaded hole, and then crack on with number 2. So the last thing for me to check, well, apart from drilling the ones nearest the bore to take a thread, is if I just get this torch now and shine it down the oil way, you can see that I've gone straight through the oil hole, or the gallery bung I should say. So that will feed the bore squirter with oil through this here. It will just shove that up a little bit, and then the oil pressure forces up there. Well, the oil pressure forces that up, and then it just squirts it onto the bottom of there. So apart from doing the thread in this engine, which I'm going to do next, that's done, and then I've just got to quickly face the block, hone it and wash it. That's the first one of 2 done, so I will time lapse the second one as well once I've had a little bit of a tidy up first. Right, I've just started loading block number 2 of the E30 M3 engines onto the mill to do the modification. So while I'm setting that up, I'm also going to reface the one that I've done first and get that ready for honing. So I'm going to give it a quick reface, chamfer the top of the bore, and then drop it in the owner ready for the final procedure, which should be cleaning, and then it's all ready for my customer to collect. So block 1 on the E30 M3 engine has been honed. It's all to size. I'm just letting some of the honing oil drain out of it before it goes in the wash. And the second block, I have machined the first stage of the bore squirters, so I've put these platforms on. So the next thing to do is to use my jig and start to drill the holes. So that's the drill running. I'm using the light off me phone because I can't find my bleeding torch anywhere, so I'm just putting a slight bit of pressure on. Let me see if I can get the GoPro down there for this shot. And I could just feel it starting to break through the oil way. There we are. So the next thing I need to do now is centralise up, ready for the retaining bolt. The other thing when you're tapping a hole out, it's always good to turn it and then turn it back as well, because that just cleans the swarf off the cutting edge of the tap. Just helps it sit in the grooves. Stops the thread that you're cutting getting damaged. So it's just good practice to do that. So we're down to the last one. So clean the tap. So that's all of them bore squirters drilled for the oil way and tapped, and have got the locating dowel in it. So the last job that I want to do on this is to just check that every single one locates in the pin, and also the thread screws in, it's nice and square. Just like that. I'll get the camera in and show you what it looks like once it's in. And I'll just unscrew it. And try it in the next one. So what I'm doing now is tapping out the block for the retaining screws, which are M6x1. Now to do this, I'm using two taps. I'm using a starter tap or a taper tap, but I don't know if the camera's picking it up. This has got a good cutting edge, a taper to drag it in, and then the thread actually starts to cut about here. So when you've got a blind hole and you want to get to the bottom, these taps are no good. But what you need to do is start off with one of these, and then you have a second tap, which basically means the threads come a little bit further down, and then a plug tap or a finishing tap, which is what I'm going to put in now. And that, as you can see, well, I don't know if you can see actually, but the thread comes all the way right down to here. So there's not a lot of taper there to drag it in. So this isn't really any good when you're trying to cut a thread, because you really have to put some pressure on it to drag it in. But anyway, this is perfect for the job I need it to do. But what I'm going to do is just blow out the threaded holes in here, just so I know that there's no swarf in the bottom of them, because we want to cut all the way down to the bottom. So that's both S14, BMW M3, E30 engines complete. So they're all washed now and ready for the customer to collect. I've bored them out both to exactly the same bore size. I've done a race cork finish to help the rings bed in quick. I put a nice chamfer on top of the block, refaced both blocks so they're both exactly the same now, deck heights. And then the main job that I've done is converted them to run bore squirters or piston coolers or whatever you want to call them, but I'll show you that. I'll just show you on one of them. So that's the finished job there. So this hole here is the oil feed, this is the location peg, and then this is the thread to lock them in. So all I've got to do now is wait for the guys to send their courier down to collect them, which I don't know when that's going to be, but they're all safe and sound here. and then this is just a rust inhibitor with like a built-in spray grease, so they'll have to just wash this off with like brake cleaner or something when they collect it. So all I need to do now is find a box to put their piston in and their bore squirter. And that's another pair done. So the last thing to show on this video is a job that turned up this week in its mini engine. This is for another YouTuber, so you could check out his channel. It's called Hyphen Classics. I will put a link for his channel in the description below, and give it a like if you could. But he's doing lots of modifications and bits and bobs on his Mini. So this engine's come in for us to do some porting work, sort the bores out, stick it through the acid, and that's it. So that's the end of this video. I hope everyone's enjoyed it. If you could leave the word BMW in the comments section below, that'd be great. And I'll see you guys on the next video. See you later. Cheers for watching. Bye.